This girl became one of the most famous faces in human history, and nobody knows who she is. No name, no diary, and no records. She wasn't a queen, and she wasn't a princess. She probably wasn't even painted as a real portrait. Yet more than 300 years later, millions of people travel across the world just to stand in front of her. This painting is called Girl with a Pearl Earring, created by Johannes Vermeer around 1665, and it has become known as the Mona Lisa of the North. Not because she smiles and not because she hides a secret, but because the greatest mystery is whether she ever existed at all. At first glance, the painting looks almost too simple. A young girl turns toward the viewer, also a blue and golden turban wraps around her head. A single pearl hangs from her ear, and her lips are slightly parted. Her eyes meet yours, and then something strange happens. The longer you look at her, the more alive she begins to feel. She isn't smiling. She isn't crying, there are no emotions, and somehow that single look has fascinated the world for centuries. People have described standing in front of this painting and feeling as though the girl is about to speak, as though time stopped 1 second before she said something important, but she never speaks. She never moves, and she remains frozen forever, waiting. To understand why this painting feels so different, we first need to understand the man who created it. Johannes Vermeer lived in the Dutch city of Delft during the 17th century, a time historians now call the Dutch Golden Age. Trade exploded, science flourished. Artists transformed Europe. Tiny Dutch cities became some of the richest places on earth. Yet Vermeer was never the most famous painter of his time. In fact, many people outside Delft barely knew his name. Unlike Rembrandt, who painted on a massive scale, or Caravaggio, whose violent life made him legendary, Vermeer lived quietly. He painted painfully slowly, sometimes finishing only 2 or 3 paintings in an entire year. Imagine spending weeks painting a sleeve, days painting how sunlight touched a wall, and hours adjusting the reflection inside a window. That was Vermeer. Every brushstroke had a purpose. Every shadow mattered, and every beam of light had to feel real. But despite all that dedication, Vermeer died almost forgotten. He left behind debts, a struggling family, and fewer than 40 paintings experts can confidently identify today. That makes every surviving Vermeer incredibly valuable. Every canvas became a masterpiece simply because so few exist, and strangely, out of all those paintings, the one the entire world remembers isn't a king, isn't a queen, isn't a battle. It's simply a girl turning her head toward us, or was she? Because here is where the mystery truly begins. Despite its title, this probably isn't a portrait at all. Art historians believe Girl with a Pearl Earring is something called a Tronie, a special kind of Dutch painting that wasn't meant to capture the identity of a real person. Instead, it explored expression and costume. The model herself wasn't important, the feeling was. That changes everything, because if this is a Tronie, then asking who is the girl may actually be the wrong question. She may never have been intended to represent anyone. She could have been a servant, maybe a neighbor, or a family friend, or perhaps someone Vermeer imagined entirely. If that's true, then one of the most recognizable faces in human history belongs to someone who never existed.